On November 4th, 2025, Zoran Mamdani made history. He won the election to become the mayor of New York City. He was the first Muslim and South Asian person to hold this important job. The very next morning, a quiet worry spread through the wealthy parts of Manhattan. It was like a silent alarm had gone off. Rich people in their expensive homes on Park Avenue and in penthouses started making many phone calls. Real estate agents in nearby Westchester County were suddenly very busy. Agents far away in Miami also noticed a big jump in calls from New Yorkers. Even moving companies received a lot of new requests. It seemed like many of the city's richest people were planning to leave. This quickly became known as the Mamdani effect. People said it was a big move by wealthy New Yorkers who were choosing to leave the city they once felt they controlled. At first, the story seemed simple. Mamdani was a young leader who wanted to help working people. He promised to make rich people pay a special 2% tax. He won the election with a huge number of votes, more than any other mayoral candidate before him. Many people believed that the rich, seeing these plans, started to pack their bags right away. It looked like the city was on the edge of big changes, almost chaos, because of one man's win. However, is this the whole truth? Is it just rich people running away from higher taxes? Or is this perhaps the first step in a much bigger, more thought-out plan? The Mamdani effect might not be exactly what everyone thinks it is. While the news talks about a big group leaving, the real story could be hidden. It might be in the actual numbers, in private talks behind closed doors, and in the long history of New York City itself. This city has felt threatened like this many times before. 2. People are leaving. The morning after the election, many rich New Yorkers felt worried. Real estate agents in Westchester County, north of New York City, saw a big jump in calls. People from Manhattan wanted to buy suburban homes. One real estate company, the Harrison team at Compass, noted that many buyers talked about the election as a key reason for their search. Home sales in Westchester rose by 15%. This trend was not only in the suburbs. Florida real estate agents also reported many rich New Yorkers asking about homes in Miami or Palm Beach. News of people leaving quickly spread. Important business figures began to speak out. Hedge fund manager Bill Ackman voiced grave concerns, warning that New York City could become economically unviable. Conservative TV hosts like Sean Hannity from Fox News warned of a mass exodus out of the state of New York, the likes of which we have never seen. Numbers seem to support these warnings. The Citizens Budget Commission, a fiscal watchdog, reported New York City lost about $10 billion in income. This was due to around 41,000 people moving to Florida counties between 2018 and 2022. More recently, over 125,000 New Yorkers left for Florida, taking nearly $14 billion in income with them. These figures worried many. The richest 1% of New Yorkers pay over 40% of all income taxes. If these wealthy people leave, the city could lose significant funds. New York's future looked uncertain. With billions of dollars in income reportedly fleeing, the city's future seemed to hang in the balance. But what was the one specific policy that had them so terrified? 3. The new tax. The main reason for this fear was Mayor Zohran Mamdani's plan for a new tax. He wanted to add a 2% tax on millionaires. This meant people with very high incomes would pay extra. Many people felt this policy would make New York City the most expensive place to live for the rich. They said it would create the highest total tax rate in the entire country. If you put together city, state, and federal taxes, wealthy New Yorkers could face a tax burden close to 54% of their income. Some critics even called this high tax rate confiscation, feeling it was too much. This idea that high taxes make rich people leave is a common one. It comes from economic theories and past studies. These studies often show that people who earn a lot of money are more likely to move if taxes go up a lot. They have the ability to move their homes and their businesses more easily than others. So many believed that Mamdani's new tax would cause a large number of wealthy New Yorkers to leave the city for good. However, Mayor Mamdani cannot simply make this new tax a law by himself. The plan needs special approval from the state government. This means the state legislature in Albany, the capital city, must vote on it. Albany is a place with many different politicians and rules. Getting a new tax like this approved there will be a big political challenge. It is not an easy process, and many players will be involved in the decision. The proposed tax seemed like a very strong reason for the city's rich residents to pack their bags. People thought they would surely leave to avoid such high payments. Yet, a similar situation happened once before in New Jersey. That state tried to raise its highest income tax rate for wealthy people. They added 2.6 percentage points to the tax. But after this tax change, something quite unexpected happened to New Jersey's millionaire population. Only a small number of millionaires, just 37, actually left the state. And, surprisingly, in that same year, over 3,000 more millionaires came to live in New Jersey. 4. The real numbers. In chapters 2 and 3, many people said rich New Yorkers were leaving. They worried about a new tax. But the true story is very different when we look at the real numbers. New York City's wealthy population has not gone down. It has actually grown a lot. Over the last 10 years, the number of millionaires in the city increased by 48%. Today, nearly 350,000 millionaires live here. This is 1 out of every 24 residents, making New York a top city globally for rich people. This strong growth clearly goes against stories about people leaving. The city is set to have around 384,500 millionaires in 2025, showing continued wealth. The market for expensive homes in Manhattan also tells a different story. It is strong, not weak. Sales of luxury homes reached the highest levels in 3 years. There were not many luxury homes for sale, which kept prices stable. In October 2025, prices for luxury homes went up by 5.5%. This was much faster than for other types of homes. It shows that rich buyers are still very active and want to buy property in New York. What is more, the city's most powerful business leaders are not leaving New York. They are not running away from Mayor Mamdani's new plans. Instead, they are having private meetings with him. These important meetings were set up by a big business group called the Partnership for New York City, which represents over 300 top companies. The meetings happened after Mayor Mamdani won the primary election. Leaders felt he was open to listening and wanted to find good answers for the city. This suggests a plan to negotiate and work together with the new mayor, not to quit in panic. So, if the actual data shows that wealth is truly growing in the city, and the city's most important and richest people are staying to talk and find solutions, then what is the Mamdani effect really about? 5. A feeling, not a fact. After the election, many people felt worried. But what people feel is not always the same as what is real. There was a big difference between what people said they might do and what they actually did. Polls before the election showed this clearly. About 1/4, or 25%, of registered voters said they would think about leaving New York City if the new mayor, Zoran Mamdani, won. But only 9% said they would definitely leave. This large gap shows that many people thought about moving, but very few actually planned to pack their bags. It is a big, difficult decision to move your entire life. Moving your main home, your business, your professional connections, and your children's schools is a huge change. Such a move costs a lot of money and takes much effort. For many, these social and financial costs are much bigger than worries about new taxes. People do not easily leave their whole life behind, even if they have some concerns about politics or money. Also, other important things were happening that better explained why some people looked for new homes. For example, mortgage rates, which is the cost of borrowing money to buy a house, were much lower in late 2025. They fell to 6.34%, down from 7.01% the year before. This drop in borrowing costs naturally made buying a house easier and cheaper. This change made more people interested in buying homes, especially in areas like Westchester County, just outside the city. There were also fewer homes for sale there, which created higher demand from buyers. Experts said that these lower mortgage rates and fewer homes on the market were stronger reasons for activity in the housing market than worries about the new mayor. So, the idea that many rich people were leaving the city seemed to be fueled more by what people felt than by real facts. People were anxious, but their actions did not always follow their fears. While everyone was busy watching this story of people supposedly leaving, the city's official financial reports were quietly telling a very different and powerful story about New York's true economic strength. 6. New York is strong. Many people worried about New York City. They thought the city would get into big money problems. Some called this a doom loop, meaning everything would get worse and worse. But this bad thing did not happen. In November 2025, a report from the NYC comptroller, Brad Lander, showed good news. The city's money actually grew. From September 2025, revenues were up by 6.5%. This was an increase of $1.7 billion compared to the same time last year. Money from personal income tax and payroll tax went up even more. It rose by 16.3%, reaching $4.58 billion. The office buildings in the city were doing better than expected after the pandemic. They even did better than office markets in other big U.S. cities. Tourism also stayed strong. More people visited New York than in some other cities. Wall Street, the city's financial heart, got stronger, and more people found jobs there. The number of full-time jobs was also rising faster than planned. All these signs showed that New York City was not in trouble. The idea of a city in crisis was not true. The city's economy was strong. The fear that many rich people were leaving was much bigger than the reality. If this is not a new problem, then maybe New York has faced something like this before? 7. This happened before. New York City has heard stories about rich people leaving many times before. For decades, whenever the city discussed new taxes or different progressive policies, critics predicted a mass exodus of the wealthy. For example, in the 2000s and 2010s, and after a state tax increase on wealthy earners in 2016 under then-Governor Andrew Cuomo, similar warnings filled the news. They said the city would suffer greatly, with its economy collapsing. But what really happened? The predicted collapse rarely came true. The city's millionaire population did not shrink. Instead, it consistently grew. Real estate values in places like Manhattan continued to appreciate. The truth is, New York has seen some wealthy residents leave, but many new wealthy people have also arrived, or existing residents have become richer. So the total number of millionaires in the city has continued to increase over time. The warnings about a mass exodus often turned out to be wrong or much too exaggerated. However, Mayor Mamdani's election feels different this time. It is not just about economic fears or new taxes. It is about a big change in New York's political culture. For a long time, the city's powerful business leaders and financial elite had a strong voice in how New York was governed. Mayors, even those with liberal views, often worked closely with these traditional power brokers. Mamdani's campaign, though, was different. He spoke for working-class families, young voters, and renters. He focused on housing affordability and police reform, building a new group of supporters. He promised changes that openly challenged the interests of developers and landlords, which are core parts of the city's traditional elite. For some wealthy New Yorkers, this felt like more than just a new tax policy. It felt like a fundamental shift in the city's direction, away from their priorities. They felt less aligned with the city's new political reality. This means the Mamdani effect is not only about money. It is also about the city's traditional powerful people losing their strong hold on governance. For the first time, New York's political power seems to be moving away from the wealthy elite. So, what will the future of this changing city truly look like? What is really happening? The story of people leaving New York, often called the Mamdani effect, is now clearer. We have learned that it is not just about money or higher taxes, as many first thought. Instead, it is more about a big change happening in the city's culture and politics. Many wealthy and powerful people felt worried when Zohran Mamdani became mayor. They saw a new kind of leadership taking hold, one that promised different priorities. Their interests, which were often considered most important, might no longer be the city's main focus. Previous chapters have shown that the early reports of many rich people leaving were not fully true. Hard data proved that New York City's millionaire population has actually grown a lot over the last 10 years. The city's economy has remained strong, with rising tax revenues and a good performance in areas like luxury real estate. Also, history tells us New York has faced these kinds of worries about people leaving many times before, after new taxes or policy shifts. Each time, the city found a way to stay strong and grow its wealth. So the Mamdani effect is largely about the feeling of this big shift in power. It shows the anxiety of an established elite class facing a new political reality. For a long time, the interests of wealthy people and large businesses strongly shaped New York City's decisions and direction. Now, with Mayor Mamdani, the city's leaders clearly want to focus more on the needs of its working-class people and those who often have less. The real big question for New York is not if a few rich people decide to move to other places like Florida for lower taxes. It is a much larger and deeper question. It is whether a major American city can successfully change its main focus. Can it truly help its working-class majority while still keeping a healthy, dynamic, and economically strong environment for everyone? This is a difficult and important balance to strike. Mayor Mamdani's true challenge is not simply to stop people from leaving. His real job is to lead the city well in this new and changing reality. He must find smart ways to make New York fairer and more equal for everyone. He needs to do this while also making sure the city stays vibrant and economically sound for the future. This is a new path for New York, marking a different kind of future. What do you think this big change means for New York City in the long term? And will it succeed?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.